Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
Welcome to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give us a thumbs up.
Also, podcast linked in the description. Haberman, that's him. Middlecoff, that's me. Go subscribe.
Let's go into the film room, Middlecoff, and watch some Joe Burrow. Oh, this is where you made your hay. Former
Woo!
scout John Middlecoff. Okay, what are scouts looking for? Everybody from the couch with a remote's going, yeah, Joe Burrow, number one pick. But to get there, the scouts have to evaluate him to be worthy of it. So what do they want to see from Joe Burrow over the course, or any guy really, over the course of their career to get to where he is? Because I can tell you his
Well,
awards, right? Everyone watching this can tell you he won the Unitas, he won the Heisman, he won the Maxwell, he won the Manning, he won the Camp, he's the AP Player of the Year, won the Natty. But what about
60
translating to the NFL?
touchdowns,
Oh,
6 picks, all the
76%
wins.
completion percentage.
Yeah, to me, the number one thing I would look for as a general manager before we even dove into the attributes, which you're going to have to be a high draft pick, can you handle the pressure? And is there any pressure quite like the SEC, the SEC West, LSU? Think about where he transferred from, guy. He did not transfer from Fresno State or UCF. This guy came from Ohio State. So his entire collegiate career, every time he walked in the building, from a freshman till that last game when he won the Natty for LSU, the pressure was great, whether he was a starter or whether he was a third stringer. And I think there's something to be said about, can you put the weight of the
Mm.
world? Would you say there's any pressure in sports for a rookie like being the number one overall pick in football as the quarterback? The way you're talked about, the pressure that comes with it. I think there are a couple recent examples. Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston. Jameis won a natty his sophomore year and then didn't win it, that junior year. Baker had a ton of success, went to the playoffs a couple times. But both those guys, when you look back at some down moments in their career, Jameis had one at the middle of the quad that didn't quite go well, and had some other things with crab legs. And Baker had, some issues that were kind of like, well, he's just grabbing his junk against KU. He's running away from the cops. I think it was in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And people, you're like, what? And they both have kind of come back to, yeah, they had some red flags. I'd say this guy, beside transferring from Ohio State, where he couldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins, who happened to be a top 15 pick, really is not that nuts. And then he goes here to have, I'd say, the greatest individual season in SEC history. You got to feel pretty good about. You see those eyes, see Eddie O, guy.
Hey,
That's the
man,
national championship game.
what are you thinking about right here, man, huh? You thinking about your third grade teacher, Mrs. Henderson, huh? She's watching you, Maddie Mock, huh? Jamarcus Russell, huh? Matt Flynn, all these guys that wore that jersey.
I mean, it's.
Eddie O.
I think Gruden would have loved. I would have loved to see
I
Gruden with this
know.
guy sitting down.
We really missed
Too
out.
sad.
We don't have Gruden. You thinking about your Heisman Trophy you just won, huh? Nah.
Is that the number one bachelor in America, Ed Ogeron?
Yeah, he didn't know that then. All right, let's dive
No, he
into
didn't.
it. What we're going to start with, we're going to go through kind of the 5 things. You're an NFL scout, so the 5 things that you had on your checklist beyond the immeasurables, the measurables.
Yeah, I'd say the number one thing that you have to have any quarterback, any level, is accuracy. You got to be accurate with the football. In the NFL, you have to make throws that are not with guys not wide open. Look at that. It's a contested ball. It's a guy that doesn't have much space between him and the defensive back. You got to throw a catchable ball, and you just have to be accurate, especially intermediate to deep. Anyone can complete wheel routes or quick out routes. I would say not anyone. We've seen guys airmail them, but good quarterbacks can. What makes great quarterbacks are the non-routine passes and our explosive plays. And I think we'd all agree that Joe Burrow is a very, very explosive player.
I think one of the interesting things that we've learned over the years about Bill Belichick is he likes watching guys college tape the year before they come out of college because he can watch them against guys that he has then seen play in the NFL for a year. Now with Burrow, he took such a big jump. He was sub 60% his first year or his last year. He was 58% passing at LSU 2 years ago to 76%. Maybe that doesn't quite work, but you do get to see him against so many elite teams because he played in all these big games. I guess one of the questions I would have watching him, John, we'll watch another throw here from the national championship game, is how do you account for the fact that he's got, and if this is Jamar Chase twice, that he's got NFL receivers, he's got NFL offensive linemen, like he's surrounded by an NFL team.
I mean, there's nothing much you can do because that is just the hand he was dealt. I would
Worst
lean it
hands to be
on.
dealt.
Yeah, first of all, Belichick won't have a chance to draft this player, and second of all, yeah, he had a great team. I mean, a wide receiver in Jefferson is going to go in the first round. The running back probably be a second or third round player. Chase will be a first round player next year. Randy Moss's kid's going to get drafted. He had a coordinator that immediately jumps to the NFL, gets highly paid, who's 31 years old. But I will say he played the best teams in the country. At the time he played Texas, they were, and rightfully
Yeah.
so, they were really good. And that game was on the road. He played Alabama on the road. He played Georgia in the SEC championship game. He played Oklahoma, which I think everyone's kind of shitting on Oklahoma after the fact. They were really good. Their best defense they've had in years.
And he obliterated them.
And then the national championship game, it's not quite Clemson last year, right? They lost a bunch of players, but they're still, I would say, the modern day kind of the last 3 or 4 years, they've kind of turned into Bama.
Yeah.
And he kicked their ass.
Yeah. And he played Auburn too.
And think about this, in this national championship game, he's playing a defensive coordinator that makes like $2.7 million in Venables, and who's widely considered as the top coordinator in all of football.
All right, let's look at some Poise, right? That's next up on the scout checklist. These are Alabama games. Look at this. Now, these are important, John, because these are big moments. We've got back-to-back third down conversions on a big drive. Okay, this one, you can see the play clock's going down, 3rd and 10. Alabama's made this crazy comeback. Really, if you want to talk about the physical nature of the play, Edwards-Helaire is the one that makes a sweet catch on the back end of this, but I thought this was a good Poise play.
That's a great LSU name as well, right? Oh. I can't even say it, but I would say in football, this is the money down. Can you keep drives alive? And the hard part about third down, especially 3rd and long, against good teams, against good coordinators. Guy, think about if he gets drafted to the Bengals, he's playing the Steelers and the Ravens, who are those four. You're playing those teams 4 times. They're some of the best defensive players in the league. Wink Martindale's widely viewed as one of the best. They are bringing heat. Can you complete balls on the money down against heat? Who's he doing it against here? A guy named Nick Saban. Pressure, a little A-gap pressure. Boom. You're right. The offensive player makes a great play.
Look at the fans here, John. They're nervous. They're nervous.
But I'd say this guy, even if the running back gets tackled at the 5 or 6 yard line, that is a positive play. Might get him in field goal range, right?
All right. Same drive. I guess I'm showing the plays out of order. This play was before that play that we just showed you, but same deal. Look at play clocks going down, 3rd and 3, 5-point game.
Who doesn't like a quarterback that can make a play in a muddy pocket, guy?
I know.
Can you make a play in a muddy pocket, Burrow? Is what you can only call. That's the one thing Gruden did. You only call him by his last name, right? You don't even. He'll never say Joe. It's just Burrow. Yeah. Okay, Burrow, you got Saban bringing heat. Yeah, it was just another good play. Because again, you're right. He's throwing to guys in the NFL, but his understanding. How about this? The command of the offense, the understand what everyone's doing. Obviously, his 2nd year in the offense, even though they adapted, right, bringing in Joe Brady, so they've made changes. That's another thing you got to account for. They brought in this guy from the NFL. They brought in all these new concepts, and I get he had the all-off season with Brady, but he picked it up, and by the time they started playing games, it felt like he was a graduate student in the offense. A lot of times you hear quarterbacks talk college or pro. It takes time, and I would say that speaks to him a positive toward Joe Burrow, his football intelligence, how fast he can understand stuff. And it's one thing to have the physical tools, which I think we're seeing these highlights he clearly has. But do they match up with your brain, your understanding of the offense, also the understanding of what they're going to do on defense? Because you're basically playing chess against the defense on top of trying to run your offense. And Burrow all season long, Saban, all the teams in the SEC, Georgia in the SEC championship game, and obviously the national championship, just put on a clinic.
Now, on this drive, he picks up another 3rd down deep in the red zone with his legs. We're not going to show you that play, though, but we're going to talk about next on the scout checklist, John, which is mobility. This play is incredible. Again, play clock down, 3rd down and 7. Alabama not quite made their comeback yet. Edwards-Helaire makes another great play on this. I don't think they ended up giving him the first down. Right? That's what I told you. I watch a bunch of LSU, and you go, you know what I really like? Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He's easily. I think in 2020 more than ever, you can't be a stiff in the pocket. You got to be able to move. Offensive lines aren't that great. Defensive lines, it feels like every year, right, only get better. It's like, oh, we've got another Aaron Donald in the league. Oh, Khalil Mack. Oh, Derek Brown. Oh, Javon Kinlaw. Oh, it's just like, oh, Josh Allen. Oh, just Nick Bosa. They keep coming where you're just like, where are the Tony Basellis and the Anthony Munozes? They're not exactly flying into the league. You got to be able to move. This guy can move. The other thing that we've seen for years with good players in the NFL, under pressure, you don't have to be Roethlisberger, and that's a play like that Roethlisberger would make right here. But you got to be able to keep your eyes up like Rodgers and Russell while the pressure's coming, while you're juking them out. It's really probably one of the hardest things to do in sports. Like, wait, I'm supposed to juke these guys that are 300 pounds and 250 pounds running at me full speed while watching for receivers come open, while I move away from these guys trying to tackle me. It's just a skill that most guys lack. And I would say you could argue it's Burrow's greatest strength just on tape in 2020.
Yeah, so I
guess 19.
My takeaway watching him was this is my favorite skill that he has because he does this a ton, and we'll show you another play later that's really crazy. And for the people that make the Tony Romo comp on Burrow, John, and I know he wears 9, even if to me the way he moves a little bit, I think he's more athletic than Tony.
Can I give you a better comp than that? I think.
Let me just finish that thought. I think the way he moves, just the way his arms and legs look when he runs is, to me, where the Romo comes from. But yeah, please.
But to me, he's faster. I kind of like, and this guy we've comped to Tony Romo before, probably is a little quicker too, is Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah.
But Burrow's bigger.
I would say this guy could be the better version of Jimmy Garoppolo. And even as we nitpick Jimmy Garoppolo a lot, he's pretty damn good, right? How many teams in the NFL would take Jimmy Garoppolo right now? 20 without even blinking.
It's interesting you say that.
If Burrow becomes Jimmy Garoppolo, or a better version of Jimmy Garoppolo, where you're throwing 30 touchdowns, you're making plays, I like that comp more, a bigger Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right, what about this play then? Because it's two guys that watch a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo. Sometimes he makes some throws that are risky. This is not, I think Justin Herbert's arm is stronger than Burrow's. Maybe Herbert completes this ball with a little more ease. Is this a risky throw?
Risky throw, man.
Hey, man.
Risky throw,
is this throw getting completed in the NFL?
Well, I think you see right here, he doesn't have, I wouldn't say he has a plus arm, but he has a good arm. Well, the one thing he believes, though, is he has a great arm. And I think it can get him in trouble in the NFL. But as a Cal Poly grad, if you're smart, you can learn by doing.
That's you, not him.
So yes, me. Is there a chance that he throws some picks when he gets to the Bengals first year, like 20 picks?
Course.
Just trying to make plays that he can't make.
20
in the
would
NFL.
be a lot, but yeah.
But Peyton Manning threw 20 plus. Like, you can throw picks. You're learning yourself as long as you throw 25, 28 touchdowns. Right. I can just live with him making mistakes because I think you learn a lot about your arm, what you can and can't do, especially for a team they're going to be terrible. So you might as well figure out where your strengths kind of end in terms of, I can't do that. Like I would say the greatest strength for a quarterback sometimes when you're not Rodgers is knowing your limitations. Like when you look at Peyton Manning, who's probably the greatest player with the limited skill set, who still pushed the envelope. Because like you watch Montana, it was much more of a control offense. Manning was like letting it rip deep, but he'd pick his spots. And it took him a while to get there, right? Now, this guy has a better arm than Peyton. And I'm not saying Burrow's going to be Peyton Manning, but my point is you have to understand your capabilities. And I don't think he'll be as equipped as anyone because look at the teams he's playing. I mean, all these guys are going to be in the NFL, the DBs. So if you could replicate NFL speed in college, he's going to have like the closest. Yeah, it's close, right? It's as close as it's going to get.
5-point lead, John, in the fourth quarter. Makes that throw. All right, this play was interesting to me. You and I just did, and you guys can watch the video we did on the Niners-Saints 2019 Week 14 rewatch. Jimmy Garoppolo makes a play in that game very similar to this. For those of you that saw that game, it was his second touchdown pass to Kendrick Bourne. Where Bourne ends up is different. But in terms of having to come out of the pocket, roll left, and turn his hips back the other way, this is an important play. Why does this play jump out to you?
Well, to be good in the NFL, you got to be good in the red zone as a quarterback, and just as an offense in general. But usually the offense goes with the quarterback. And I'm a big believer in, listen, I love, I mean, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever, but the days of playing like that, I just think are over. You have to be able to do shit like this in terms of move, just given the way the game is played now. And if you're a killer in the red zone, it's hard to not be a really good player in the NFL. And Joe Burrow was a killer in the red zone. I mean, that's just, to me, this is NFL like, right? It's not a guy just wide open sitting there in the end zone. This is, you got to scramble, you got to move to your non-throwing,
Right.
like you're moving to your left and your right-handed thrower, and then hitting the guy in stride as he's coming. That's the degree of difficulty of all the plays we've shown. You could argue the degree of difficulty on this throw, and to throw it just a dime, hardest throw he's made we've seen so
Well,
far.
just
Would
wait.
you agree there? So far.
Yeah. I mean,
Now he's only
now there are
10 yards
he's
away.
made a couple throws on this in this film session that were just physical deep balls that not everybody could make that throw either. But
I mean the degree of difficulty though to be moving to your left, throw it to your right as the guy's rolling with you while the defensive player, it's not like he's
No.
falling down, he's right there.
how about I was just going
That's
to point out, can we give some love to the umpire on this play, the referee, the official right there on the 1 yard line, who almost blows this play up?
oh. Little Matador.
I mean, that
Come
job
on,
does.
come on. That's Gruden's like, why is this guy in our way? We're trying to run cross
Hey,
routes,
man.
man. We're trying to run double crossers here, zebra. Get out of my guy Jefferson's way. Is that Jefferson?
No, it's
Chase?
Terrace Marshall, I think.
God, how many guys do they have?
Yeah, exactly. All right, John, last play here. This play, God, I love this play. This is probably, it'd be hard-pressed to find a play better than this from Joe Burrow. This is early in the game, national title. All right, what does he see?
To me, like one thing that it's harder to define. I mean, the tape either just shows it. You can't see it on the box score. You can't see it by meeting the guy. But when you watch a guy play, is he a playmaker? And I think when you look at the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, obviously Patrick Mahomes is, would you say, one of the greatest playmakers we've ever seen? Yep. I would say Rodgers, you could argue, of the modern game, is the best playmaker we ever saw. Like the modern version of Brett Favre. And then Russell Wilson is one of the most unique playmakers we've ever seen. And if you can just do shit like this, because being a playmaker, what? You got to have the sweet physical tools. You got to have the mobility. You got to have the understanding of where guys are going to go. So, like, stuff that we never see. Like, this is practice, right? This is like on a Wednesday, working after practice, like scramble drills.
But it's also the stuff that doesn't show up.
Skill.
Like, you can't, but it's not the thing you do. First, and you have to have, like, a calmness of mind, right, that you see everything. But this is the stuff that this is what gamers do. But when you call a guy a gamer, you're kind of saying he doesn't do the other stuff that is buttoned down. He's got gamer qualities with the other button-down stuff, right? He's got gamer qualities with 76% completion percentage.
But I think in 2020, like when you think Rodgers, when you think Russell Wilson, when you think Mahomes, when you think Deshaun Watson, I think you'd feel very comfortable calling those guys gamers.
Yeah, no
right?
doubt.
Just clutch, just playmakers. And I love a good play. Lamar Jackson has kind of become just a playmaker. I like playmakers, guy.
But what
and Joe Burrow's a playmaker.
I'm just saying, I think at times playmakers is a negative term. Now, not with any of the guys you're saying, right?
I think it used to be more
gunslinger.
Because
probably is same thing.
Yeah, and I think we definitely over the last 10, 15 years, moving around as a quarterback, not running. Like what Lamar, it's going to be interesting to see if Lamar can adapt, right? Because he's not going to be able to run like that forever. Like mobility to me is a huge positive now. And I would say back then, no one even cared. You just want pocket quarterbacks. When I hear pocket quarterback now, I'm not saying you got to be able to play well in the pocket. Like you have to be able to do that. But you got to be able to play well outside of the pocket now more than ever. And this guy is just an incredible, just ad-libber. I do think, I think Romo's a good example. Don't you think he used to kind of get dinged for being like an ad-libber? Not dinged, but it was like, he just sometimes
partly because
he's out of control.
Yeah, but interceptions would come. He'd get hurt outside of the pocket. Right.
Yeah, and that's probably you'd say about like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. They're ad-libbers. They don't throw a lot of picks. So if you're an ad-libber, yeah, he threw 6 picks, right? Like Drew Brees is doing all of his work from within like a 3-yard radius, Where if I did a chart with Rodgers and Russell, like a shot chart, like in basketball, their throws would be from all over the place. And same with Mahomes. Again, you got to thrive within the pocket, but if you're thriving on the move as well, I look at you having the potential to be just an elite player in the league because I go, well, what can he do? If we just sit there and play zone, he can pick me apart in the pocket. If I blitz him, like you showed, he can get rid of the football. If we bring the house and the play's fucked from the jump, can he make it move? Like, what's the big knock on Kirk Cousins, who had a career year, who, when the dust settles, is going to be worth like $200 million? He's like, yeah, I made NBA money. He's like, you made the playoffs like twice. He's a robot. He can't do anything outside the pocket. So once you get him pressure, he's screwed. And you're talking about a guy, again, 40 million, 80 million, just got 60 more million. That's a lot of money. I'm not a math major, but we're at like 180 million. And he can't do anything. And he's fine. Like, you can win 11 games with him. So when you get that, like Kirk Cousins, you'd say has, if at worst they have the same arm strength, right? And this guy can do all the stuff Kirk Cousins can't do. So, like, how's he not? I'm just saying that to me would be the floor for this guy.
Yeah. One thing that I, just going back and watching a bunch of Burrow, John, one thing that stood out. Now, he was 66% completion against pressure this last year, which is really good. But he doesn't miss throws. Now, I mean, I shouldn't say he never. When I say miss, I'm talking in a
like
clean pocket and just
skipping a ball.
Yeah, just there's no reason other than he was inaccurate on that particular throw. There's not many of those that show up. And I'm talking if you watch a game, not just highlights. There's just not a lot of that clean pocket missed throws.
There were multiple times this year where I just watched LSU, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma. I mean, we all did, obviously. I mean, we're talking millions of people watching. You just get done watching the game and you go, I don't know if the quarterback can play much better, right? He did it every check. Boom, 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 boom. And I talk to people in the NFL, and I think this is fair. He's like, I think he's just one of the greatest quarterback prospects based on this year on the tape, right? If you just put the tape, none of the other stuff, just the tape, we've ever seen. Because, like, for Andrew Luck, who most people say best prospect of the last since Manning, he was just, I mean, his wins were like Oregon, right? And SC as they were slipping. Like, this guy you're like, who's he playing? I don't know. Nick Saban?
Yeah, it's a very different eval than Josh Allen based on.
Yeah, who's he playing? Venables and Clemson. Who's he playing? Kirby Smart. It's just you couldn't put tougher. The only team you'd say that was elite that he didn't play would have been Ohio State, right? Other than that, I would say he played every team you'd want to see him play.
Tell us what you think of the video in the comments. Share it. Whatever it is you do, we appreciate it.